Today we are going to go over how to create an interactive video using H5P through Brightspace. So this will be a good replacement for those of you who might be using Panopto video quizzes right now, where your videos maybe stop at certain points and ask students a pop-up question. The H5P interactive tool does something very similar to that, but actually with more functionality than what we had in Panopto. So we're going to show you how to create a video, an interactive video using that tool, and then put it in your Brightspace course. So,
and as an H5P skeptic, I'm pretty excited by the possibilities that I've gotten a taste of in the last 24 hours here.
Yeah, so we're going to have Jordan pull up his screen, and then we will walk through the process.
Cool. So random sandbox course, got some old content in here, a couple files. So Shannon, if I wanted to kind of add a video or start new with a video, and we'll use a sample video, what's my process here in the new content experience like?
So you are going to go into add a new item. And then I can't see your screen very well, but you should have H5P over there at the bottom, in the bottom row. You see H5P. So you can access H5P like this directly through Brightspace, or you can go out to h5p.com and sign in. If you've never used it before, though, you do need to start by logging in through Brightspace to connect your account.
And when you sign in, it's is it a different password potentially when you do create that account? When you sign in on the H5P side?
Yeah, I think you need to go through the reset password option if you go in that way. Is that right, Caleb?
Correct. Yep.
And the advantage to me to going in directly through the website is that everything's a little bigger, so it's a little bit easier to work with. But you get all of the same options, and the functionality is the same through Brightspace.
Yep. Some items are easier to create on the website because you don't get this windowed look.
Right.
There's the difference. I'd previously signed in. God, it's kind of nice that you can kind of go through Brightspace though, and I can see all this old stuff that we dabbled with when we first got access to H5P a couple years ago.
So you're going to go up to the blue Add Content button in the top, and then you will see this is the list of everything that's available in H5P, but we're going to go down to Interactive Video. Yep. Cool. Okay, so this opens up your edit window for your video. You can go through the tour, you can skip it for now.
Pretty short, cool, okay.
Okay, so the first thing you need to do is to give it a title. And then you're going to add your video. So you can add an MP4 file here, or you can link to a YouTube video.
Interesting.
Whichever you prefer is fine.
Cool, so we'll use one of our pixelated pedagogy videos from Travis. Exciting. If
you have videos in the media library in Brightspace, you can easily download those and then upload them here.
And Panopto videos too, we could download from as like a video podcast, right? And then upload the MP4 that way too.
Yes, and if you're using Panopto quizzes, you will lose the quiz piece of the video, but you'll still have the video to work with.
You kicked around the idea of using AI to help write questions from the transcript, which is kind of cool. So if you're transitioning, want to grab that transcript, that's certainly what I think I'll do for some of my lectures.
Yeah, I was playing around with that yesterday. I fed it a YouTube video and I asked it to create multiple choice questions and give me approximate timestamps for when I should put them in. And it did an okay job. The timestamps were not perfect, so I did have to go and listen to it, but they were close enough that it did give me a general idea of where I wanted to place everything. So that is a good way to save you a little bit of time with this.
At least to get started, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I've uploaded the video there. I just pasted the URL in, hit enter. Looks like I can maybe put an image to show or something like that too.
I think so. I don't know that you need to worry about that though.
Okay.
Sometimes if you want to add like your own custom thumbnail, that'd be like what you would put there.
If you're doing a bunch of your own videos or something. Okay, cool. Common formats.
And then if you go to behavioral settings, click on that. So here's where you can control basically what students can or can't skip in your video. If you want it, you can make it autoplay as soon as they open it. You can loop it so that it starts playing again. You can override show solution, which is something that I normally do, is I let them retry if they get something wrong, but I don't show them the answer. Sure. So I like to do that here. And then you can give them a button to rewind 10 seconds. And then under disable navigation, you can actually make it so that they can't skip forward. They can't grab the little scroll bar and move it to the end of the video just to be done with it. And they can't skip to each of your questions and not actually watch it. So this I do recommend turning.
I think I like that option. I like the option for them to go back for sure. And
yeah,
you talked about how other options sort of allow you to send students to different places depending how they do, which is really, really interesting to think about.
So that should be it. That should be all you need on this tab. We can worry about the LTI settings probably later. So go up, back up, and you should see a second tab. See where it says step 2? Yep, you'll click on that. This is where you're going to build all of the questions and the things you want to put in here. So just to give a quick rundown of what's available, can you scroll up a little bit so we can see the toolbar?
I'll play these just in case someone wants to kind of pause the video and see it. There we go.
Okay, so you can see right there above the video, these are all the things you can add. So you can do a standard multiple choice or true false question. You can put in a link. So if you just want a button that pops up and says, for more information, click here, and that takes them out to another page or an article or something like that, you can do that. You can even do drag the words activities. There's a crossroads option where you can have students choose an option and it sends them to a different portion of the video. So if you want them to review a certain thing and you want them to choose, you can give them that option. What else?
Yeah, there's a lot here. Lots to play with. Is that the crossroads where they make that choice maybe?
That's the Yep, that's what that is.
Your adventure approach. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You could do a hotspot too. So if you have a video where you want to pause at a certain point to like show something, such as like if you have an anatomy video and it's showing a just kind of a blown up view of an organ, you can do a hotspot on that video to show different pieces if they don't do that already. And you can actually have it pause at that moment and they can just hover over each one and click on it to learn more. And one thing to note is that with all the questions, a lot of them, pretty much all of them require a correct answer, except for the free text question.
So they require that you interact with them, right? So even if it's just a button that links out to something, the student has to click the button before they can move on. So if you scroll down a little bit and move to a certain point in the video, wherever, we'll just go to some random point for now, then this is how you would do it. You would go to the spot in the video where you want the question or the item to appear, and then stop it, and then go ahead up and click one of those buttons. Let's just do like a true false or something easy to start.
Sure. I like this video. I don't know. So that's the title of the question. Here's the actual question.
So one thing, if you are creating a video, the title is what's going to show up in the report. So if you want something very specific that just says like question 1, 2, 3, something like that, you can have it labeled that way. Just something easy that you'll find later.
Good call. Okay. This video is helpful. That's what we settled on.
You might also want to use those titles for like topics. So if you want to go back at the report and see, oh, these students tend to get the question about, this organ wrong, then you know that you might want to go back and do some reteaching there.
Competency, something like that too, maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Alignment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Okay. So then you put in your question, you put in your answers. So how about we uncheck the show solution button? And then if you want to put in feedback for a correct or wrong answer, you can do that. So you can give them hints, or you can say, not quite, try again, or you can, you can explain something. You can pretty much get as detailed as you want to here.
That's pretty cool.
And then along with the feedback, you can also add remediation, or you can kind of add almost like a branching scenario. So the action on all correct, if they get that right, you can actually send them to a different part of the video that kind of skips ahead. Or if they get it wrong, you can kind of kick them back to another point where they will learn about whatever your question is. And then they can come back and try to take it again.
So that's kind of cool. Like I could encourage them to go back and review something, but also still give them the choice, kind of point them. Okay, very, very cool. This is super exciting to think about. I like having lectures, but I like the dynamism and the conversation I can have and the presence I can have potentially by imbuing the videos with nudges and reminders. It's really, really interesting. I can pre-program the videos to do much more than just be a sage on the stage, right? Just delivering my knowledge. Super cool.
Yeah, so go back up to the top and then we'll just click done at the top.
And I was sort of curious about this a little bit too. So
Yes. So
Right.
that determines how it looks. So the button is the button pops up and they click on it and that reveals the question. In the poster, basically the question appears in a big square right over the screen. So it's a matter of one extra click for the student to see the question when it's a button, but I think it looks nicer. So that's typically what I go for.
And I think something we haven't talked about yet is the potential for this to connect to the gradebook, which is really, really exciting. So if that's the case, in most cases, would I probably want to pause the video to kind of communicate the importance of stopping?
Yes, that's another checkbox that I always select is you want the video to stop, the question to come up, and then they have to interact before it moves forward. The only time that I don't do that is if maybe I'm just going to put a button up and it's going to link to more information, but it's optional. It might just have it pop up and show for 10 seconds and then go away.
That's kind of cool, especially like the link that you were describing earlier. Like if you want more information, it's really exciting to sort of think about redesigning a course curriculum around the potentials here. Pretty cool. And the label I think could be helpful too to help communicate. So this is internal, I would assume, right? Or that might show to the student too, but to see when the student sees the button on screen, I would assume the label comes with it here. Yeah, next to the interaction icon.
Yep. And one thing to note with like the button versus the poster is, if there's certain things you don't want them to miss, then the poster is really good. But like Shannon said, if you pause the video, then there's a reason it's paused and they'll see the button. Sure. And along with that pause option, all the way down at the bottom in the just below where it had action on incorrect, there's an option where it says require full score before proceeding. And so with that one, they have to get it right before they can actually continue on in the video. So that's another piece that you can enable so that students can't just answer incorrectly on purpose just so they can skip through.
Sure. Yeah, if you've got like a lot of questions, or if it's a weighty in the grade book, kind of and if you want them to make sure that they've demonstrated that understanding. Interesting, cool.
Yeah, it's nice because if you check that for everything, you are forcing them to spend the time on the work, but you're also guaranteeing them full points for doing it.
Right.
You will get 100% by the end of this.
And so this is just one question. We did true and false. And so thinking through this, there probably were other options, like multiple choice was one question. Are there like question sets where you can stop and ask like multiple questions? I use the Panopto quiz kind of one question at a time, but I remember the Panopto quiz feature did allow for like multiple questions at once. Do either of you know off the top of your head if there are multiple questions you can issue at once and one stopping point, or is it kind of one-off questions?
You can ask multiple questions at one point. So you can add, so let's say this is the poster or, like the button. You can click done here, and then you can add another question type from that menu at the same timestamp. And so when they complete the one question, the next question will pop up. Whichever one is that first display time will be the first one that shows up for them. So, and then you can have them go through each one before they can continue. They won't show up as like a list that you would kind of see like in a quiz, but it'll still appear one after the other.
So it's less a quiz and more a quiz questions that we're setting up with the H5P. Okay.
Right. Ideally, you'd probably just want one question per section of the video instead of having a question set for each piece. So, but yeah, you can do multiple if you wanted to.
Cool. Okay. Are we looking pretty good here?
I think so. Yeah.
Save and insert, or should I check those options at the bottom?
Nope. Don't do either. Scroll up. Well, you can click done down there. Done. There's also a done at the top. If you click save, it's gonna back you out of the whole activity. So you can hit save if you want to then play it and see what it looks like for the student. And then you can go back in and keep editing.
That's cool. And I hover over and it's showing me what kind of question I'm about to take here.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Neat. I can see that.
When you click on the button in the edit mode, it doesn't show you the question. So you do have to save and then go out and watch it to see what it actually is going to look like.
Oh, gotcha. I have options to transform, edit, copy. Okay.
Right. And you can move it around. So if you want it to pop up right in the middle of the screen or in a corner, you can put it wherever you'd like. And you might be able to make it bigger too. I know on the poster version, you can make it larger.
I might be able to manually manipulate this, but I can't tell what else I can do here.
Okay. On the poster, you actually have like squares that you can pull and make it bigger.
Nice.
Yeah, on the button, it's one size, but it's dynamic to the, like that label that you have on there is dynamic to that. But otherwise, you have the one size there.
Nice. Okay, next step, Shannon.
Do you want to add another question type, or do you?
Yeah, we might as well. Let's try one more. So
We'll
let's
go to another spot. Yep.
Yeah. Let's ask about mushrooms. Ooh. Okay.
Want to just do a link?
Yes, let's learn about pizza.
So this is an easy one. So title your link, and then so for you could do pizza. You could do like click here to learn more, or whatever you want to call it.
Let's go to Pizzeria in New York. The best pizza in New York, I'm sure. I want to link out to their menu. Cool. So let's see here. It had that. Which one was it? I'll go back to the URL. I assume we want this to match HTTPS. Back to Brightspace.
Yeah, almost everybody should be using that protocol, so you shouldn't have to change that.
Okay, cool. Neat. So I can leave all this for now, Shannon?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and click done.
Not save though.
Now you can see the display time was showing by default. It had a certain amount of time that button will stay visible. And you did not check the pause button on that one. So that would mean the video will keep playing, the button will pop up, and then after 10 seconds, it will go away.
Or a pizza color here.
Then the background color is what that text is going to overlay on. So if you do have a dark background, you may, or like a lot of text heavy, it's good to adjust that.
I'd maybe put a pizza emoji in there if I had more time. Pretty exciting. Pretty cool. I feel like a YouTuber here potentially in terms of the ability to kind of do things with my videos all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. Neat. Okay, cool. And it defaulted to like 10 seconds. It's probably a good amount of time.
We should add that, speaking of YouTube, if you do have videos on YouTube, you can use them this way. You will not be able to put them back on YouTube and have this stuff pop up, right? It's only going to work in H5P. So. And
simultaneously, the chapters and any other sort of settings you have in YouTube wouldn't come into here then.
Right.
Right. Okay. We kind of glossed over, but transcriptions. I saw there was sort of an option to maybe put captions or transcriptions in here. It was like a VTT file. Maybe that's a little bit too advanced, but it seems the functionality is built in here.
Correct. Yep. You can upload your own caption file if you want to. And then speaking of like chapters that you can get from a YouTube video, you do have the option to kind of create chapters within H5P here. So next to the play button, there's that bookmark icon. And you can actually add bookmarks, and you can put them at different timestamps, and you can title them however you want. So yep, you can do that one for pizza time. You could do ones for your question labels, or if you have a video that spans multiple topics, you could do an intro, and then you can do a bookmark for each topic. And then that's also a nice way for you to kind of see where your bookmarks are at, and you can kind of put those questions within each one.
That's cool.
And then when we were back at the step one, there was an option to also show the bookmark menu. So you also get the option of showing that to your students so they can skip around. Let's say they want to watch it again. They can skip around to a topic that they were interested in.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Maybe I should go back for fun and try that. So can I go back to step one right now? Will it save what I've done? Okay.
So quick question on the captions. If you're using a YouTube video and you play this in Brightspace, will the captions from YouTube appear? So while we're talking about accessibility, there may be some issues with these pop-up questions. If a student's using a screen reader, they may not be able to see them. And so, if you are using videos like this, you might want to have just a backup plan for a student who needs it. Just maybe have the questions in a document somewhere that you can pull for a student who might need it.
Very good point. It actually, there was some language in here about that too, I think, sort of acknowledging that. So they were actually working on it, I think. Okay, I'll zoom back out a little bit. next step, I checked that box so students could see the bookmarks. I really like that idea.
Perfect. And then, so after you're done, if you're done adding all your questions in step 2, then the last piece is the step 3, which is the summary task. Now, this one is confusing because the language is confusing, but it is optional. So if you don't add anything here, nothing gets added to your course, but it does look like it's required. But basically what'll happen is if you enter summary items in here, you can have students do like an end of video quiz, and then they can submit this. But yeah, like I said, if you don't add anything here, then it just won't show up.
It's not a bad idea though to add, even if you just want to get feedback on the lesson and whether students liked it, you could have a quick poll at the end. I think that's valuable. The other thing I wanted to mention is that there is an open response question. I don't think we mentioned that. You can do a written response question, and then the students will get the points for it just by entering something into the box. So certainly they could just enter some gibberish and get credit, but some students are going to stop and it's going to give them a chance to reflect on something. And you can always go back in and review the responses later, and then maybe give a separate grade for that, or reach out to students who maybe need help or didn't do it or whatever.
Interesting. Okay. I'll click done. We'll see if it sticks.
I like that feature because I think it does kind of force students to stop and maybe think. I wouldn't give them an essay to write there, but to ask them to just respond to a couple in a sentence or two, I think is useful.
I clicked the poster to kind of see what it was. I'll put a different random time here to make sure it's differentiated. Cool. Mm-hmm. It was interesting. It asked for, it said max 1 point or something like that. It said if it's not required, would that theoretically go to the grade book? Would they get the point if they don't do it and it's not required?
Yeah, if they don't add anything, then they'll lose out on that 1 point.
Okay, so I would probably make that.
It should.
Want to make that required, sure. Okay, so we've got a couple questions in here, kind of experimenting, and other folks who do this, tell us what you're learning too. We'll keep playing with more of these options. There's a lot of options in here. I'm sure a lot of faculty will do it differently. It'd be exciting to see kind of what they do.
So the last thing you want to do before you hit save is scroll all the way down to those LTI settings. And this is to put it in your grade book. So the very last option. Nope, scroll down.
Oh, sorry, LTI settings.
There you go. So by default, it's not going to connect to the grade book. So if you want to connect it, you'll have to click on this and then you choose first, last, or best attempt. And then you can also decide that box at the bottom if you want students to be able to do some of it and then come back in and finish it later. You'll want to check that box.
I'll do that.
Okay, so then that should be it. The other options here would mostly be if you're collaborating with another instructor, you want to share it with them too. You could add more people here. You can publish it so that other H5P users can find it. So you've got some options there with sharing.
And it looks to recognize institutionally who has an account through the college.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Neat. And if I do put it in here, does that make it sort of discoverable internally for us?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yep.
Save and insert then maybe?
Yep.
Cool. I like that it's at the top and the bottom. So I started from my Brightspace course, and so yeah, I should be in this course, right? So I'll see it as an external learning tool link within the module. Hopefully, there it is. Sample video. We could flip to the old content view if we want to see that too. Oh, it shows right in here. That's nice.
Yep.
Cool.
And so just one quick note on the grading. By default, the first time a student does this activity, it's going to add it to the end of your grade book as its own grade item. So if you don't want that to happen, you can add in your own grade item and then manually connect it so that you have it where you want it in the grade book.
Mm-hmm.
And right here, if I clicked on that edit field, this is presumably where I could one grade item. So let's take a look. Is it already in the grade book yet or not?
So now you should be adding it to your grade book by going through there. Because right now it's not in, right. It doesn't have a grade item yet. So you would click add and manage grade item. You would create your grade item for this. And it'll go off of that title. in the old content experience, you would have to, like in the bottom right, just below the H5P activity, there should be like an assessment field where you can add an assessment and then you can add that grade item to it.
Let's show it quick.
Yep. So if you scroll down here and then there's the assessment piece. Yep. And so because you added it with the last one, it's already connected to an assessment, but you can ideally, if it didn't have that already, you would click that new grade item and then you could associate it. Or if you have an existing grade item, you can associate it to that too.
Got it. I'll take a look at the managed grade just to see what it got in there. We go. There it is. Okay. So by default, it's excluded from final grade calculation, but I could change that or start to play with that. If I change it here, do I need to change it on the H5P setting or on the H5P side at all, the point allotment at all?
The only thing that would need to change, H5P sends over a percentage score from their system. So if you have this assignment worth 100 points, but you only have 5 questions in H5P, it'll just send over whatever that percentage score is to your gradebook. There's also a rounding issue sometimes with certain gradebooks, so that's something else you'd have to account for. But yeah, that would be the only time you'd have to worry about that.
So probably think about it in advance, basically, and know how many points it should be worth and try to set it up correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I almost liked seeing this the way in the new content experience. I'll switch back. Should we take it now? What should we do?
Sure. Why don't you? We haven't looked at it from the learner view, have we?
Yeah, I'll impersonate
I'll do the end.
Kool-Aid Man. Pretty cool. And if I had autoplay, it would presumably have started playing. I think I like students having the choice. This is actually kind of nice. So I can't navigate forward and it's telling me that. That's cool. But I can see where the bookmarks are. And I can see where those quiz questions are.
And the students, even though they can't navigate forward, they can still change the playback speed. So they can speed it up to double time or whatever if they want to. Just
cool.
A heads up on that.
I'll turn the volume down or off and let's play a little bit here. All right, we got our first question here. This was the button. I stopped the video. Let me go. Let's just go back for fun. Let me go back.
And you know what else you could do if you had the transcript in a file somewhere, you could actually have, when the video starts, you could have a pop-up link and say, if you'd like a full transcript, click here and have them be able to open it up in the next tab.
That's, I think, will be my default. I'll try the upload the file and things like that. And I'll try this with like an MP4 upload to see if it has any of that features. And I wouldn't be surprised if H5P eventually just incorporates that ability in,
Yeah,
like
especially since D2L now owns it. I imagine that captions will be coming shortly, probably.
Right. I'm excited to play around with this and keep learning. And the branching paths options and what I can do as an instructor is really, really interesting here. It's the right time for me to finally dive into H5P.
It's only taken 4 years. It's all right.
Any other major things for now, or we could kind of call it for now, and we'll learn more and report back soon.
I think we've covered the basics. Yep. If you need help, reach out. Yeah.
Keep the vibe chill, people. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.